29th day of October. Snow on the ground. Of course, not a big snow, but taking consideration that October 1st, when we were cutting, it was 93 or 94 degrees. So, drastic change in the weather in a short time. They're calling for more snow tonight. Of course, me and Mike sat there in the hotel last night and watched the snow come down. Pretty neat old Chevy, ain't it? There's a lot of old stuff on this place. Venture down here. Old Ford. That's a pretty neat looking thing, isn't it? Be a neat old rat rod. Or some chinkapin on this ridge here. I'm going to try to cut a few of these chinkapin. Of course, you can see where I kind of left off yesterday. That walnut there's hung up, which that's a good tree. Good tree. And that last good one you seen the video yesterday, that thing, it actually busted a little bit when I cut it. There was kind of a Y crotch up there in the top of that thing, and sure enough, it hit just right and busted some of the top of that tree. Didn't ruin it, but still, you hate to see it happen, and just one of those things. I blame myself because I should have paid more attention, should have had Mike push on it, the skidder or Kenny. That way we could fall away from that crotch, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. This pretty good tree here, we'll get it on the ground. Looks like it's wanting to fall back this direction into the old scrap iron pile here, which that's about all this ridge is, just old stuff like this. Mike's already went out with the drag. I've been kind of cleaning on the deck, making a little more room, moving some scrap iron around with the skid steer and smoothing some stuff out. But we'll get this guy on the ground and see if we can make a day of it. Got them laying everywhere. I kind of worked my way down the ridge. Of course, tree there, got my saw setting on it. There, a couple down there, one in the ditch. There's another one out there. Got a chinkapin right there. Of course, that one over there hung up. But then Kenny, he come down here. I'm gonna go up here and see if I can flag Mike down. Me and Kenny, we try to have a powwow every so often to kind of make sure we're all on the same page about what's going on. And I guess a couple of these I cut yesterday are in kind of a difficult spot, so he doesn't want Mike trying to get them. So now our next order of business is trying to get Mikey down over this hill. It's not terribly steep, but there's a lot of outcropping rocks. And with the ground wet and snowy right now, which the snow's already starting to melt. Boom. But yeah, the snow's already starting to melt off. That just makes things slick and nasty. Hard to get around. We definitely need to bring the chains up next week. Go ahead and chain up for the winter. So, first order of business is when Mikey comes back over here, we'll flag him down. There's a deep ditch there, but there's a good place to cross. Just kind of right in there, so we can get across the other side. But we'll see if we can get Mikey down through here. I think he can come right down this draw right here pretty easy. Yeah, he ought to be able to go down that real easy. But it is Mikey we're talking about, so it don't get any easier than that. Just kind of scattered out. This is a good example of a thinning. You know, we're going through here, thinning out the bigger walnut, oak, cottonwood. Just a light thinning. This timber stand has so much potential for the future. It's very refreshing to see things like this. Go in here and just lightly thin it. I would say the next harvest down the road, 5 to 7 year, somewhere in there, there'll be a bigger bunch of walnut that come off this job then than there is now. Just because what we're doing is just a light thinning, because there are a lot of trees right on the border that can be cut, or what we classify as big enough to be cut. But Leaving them now, they're going to put on just that much more growth, and it'll really be a good harvest the next go around. Extra limb there, that's my fault. I didn't get that trimmed up good. Take them out to the deck. And I've kind of been making a little trail for him to get over here, kind of speed things up. We got several more walnut on up the draw there, I think. Now when he comes back, this is kind of like a little, I don't know, ditch, draw, just full of rock. Luckily. There's some good trees over there Kenny's got cut, so when Mike gets back, I told him just to come over here and back up to it. I'm going to head on out to the deck. We are out of chainsaw gas already, so we need to run to town, or Kenny does, one of us does, and get some more gas. Man, this thing is a lifesaver. Rock. Yeah, we'll get this one here. Come back, you can go across the creek. Looks like he's hooked the bottom choker to the first log instead of saving it for the last. He's hung up right there. it figured out. No, 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 no. Well, I had to jump on there and kind of show him, which, you know, working with the cable skidder, that getting hung up, logs hung up, that's a pretty common occurrence and little deals like that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a mathematician. I was never really good at math, whether it be algebra, geometry, trig, calculus. That wasn't my thing, but there is so much math used in logging, and it's all angles. It's all about angles. Of course, there's some numbers too, you know, when you're figuring your footage and your scale. But just whether you're falling timber or dragging timber, there is so much geometry used with your angles. And just like that, Mike kept trying to pull into that little ash there, thinking he would break that free. Well, that's not the answer. You know what I did? I just backed up and I got a straight shot up the hill there and freed that from in between those two trees. Then you could pivot it around that little ash. So it is, and I mean it takes a while to learn. And the frustrating thing about Mikey is he's been doing it long enough. A lot of the simple stuff like that he should be picking up on, but he's still having trouble with it. But just taking the time to show him, you know, and it some of it sinks in, some of it doesn't, I guess. Anyway, I'm going to cut this guy right here, get him on the ground. That way Mike, now you're going to wonder why we cut that one so high. There's barbed wire fence running through it, so we cut it up above the wire. That way we could salvage a log. So that's why we got a high stump on it. But I'm going to knock this one here down. That way he can at least drag two out on his next turn. Then I think we've got a few more over here that are hung up. And then we're actually going to cut out a little early. Kenny had to go tend to some business with some logs, and I've actually got a little track of timber I need to go look at this afternoon. So, you know, we've put in about 4.5 or 5 hours today, which banker's hours, you know, it's not ideal, but you know, we did just as much or more production volume wise than we did yesterday. So hopefully tomorrow we can just about get the walnut wrapped up, because there wouldn't be no way we could wrap it up today, which I'm fine with. But we've still got some cottonwood and stuff to cut in the bottom, a few more oak, a few hickory, just to scrounge out a light load of that type of material for a mill we do some stuff for up here up north. But yeah, we'll get this one on the ground and we'll head out to the deck. I had to commandeer the skidder for Mike for just a drag or two. Pretty good pile of wood. It's the last drag of the day. We're gonna head her on in. Hey guys, if you like what you see, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for all of our latest videos.